Welcome everyone to Token Topics. I hope you're all doing great. We're going to dive into some exciting XRP news. Now that there's some relief over the Ripple lawsuit, Ripple will continue to gain ground with its financial services and promoting XRP. Now we're going to hear words from Brad Garlinghouse on the recent victory and also the crypto landscape and what it looks like. We're also going to learn more about the Metaco partnership between Ripple and Metaco. Also exciting news that Ripple is now partnering with Uphold for cross-border payments. So we're going to look into that. That is a big deal. We're also going to go over the growing landscape of the digital asset space. Now, if you do enjoy the content, please do subscribe so you can stay up to date, and please don't forget to hit the like. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive in. Keep your crypto safe with a DCENT biometric hardware wallet. With talks about cyber attacks or exchanges going down, it's imperative to keep your assets safe. And just know with DCENT, your private keys are your private keys and only you have access to them. In the description below, I'm going to put affiliate links where you can receive $30 off the retail price. There's also a 2-wallet package deal that's a great value. There's no need to wait. Order your wallet and keep your crypto safe now. This is huge news for Ripple. A Ripple and Uphold partnership. Now, what does that mean? Somebody might ask. So this partnership with Uphold enables Ripple to enhance their underlying infrastructure, and Uphold's deep liquidity expertise further underpins Ripple's ability to offer fast and flexible cross-border payments around the world. Ripple states that they see this as a start of their relationship and are excited about what the future holds. So this indeed is very big news, because when it comes to large exchanges, when you're moving value around, they're going to be using on-demand liquidity now with XRP. Now, before I dive into this interview, it's important to note, especially for newcomers, that Ripple earlier this year, they purchased Metaco, a crypto custody firm, for $250 million, and they're based out of Switzerland. Now we're going to listen to Brad Garlinghouse speak on Metaco Talks. He's not only going to talk about the Ripple lawsuit, he's going to talk about the difference between XRP and the company Ripple, and he's also going to talk about the relationship between Ripple and Metaco and how they purchased Metaco and what the future holds in the landscape. So let's go ahead and dive into this interview.
It's a very special edition today with Brad Garlinghouse joining us. Brad is the CEO of Ripple, a leading enterprise blockchain solutions company, and also now the owner of Metaco since May this year. Brad, welcome to Metaco Talks.
Thank you. Glad to know I'm the 41st.
I think it's a good number. So let me start with the question that I guess every single interviewer asks you to start with. You know, we've had very good updates on the status with the American regulators lately. You know, XRP is in and of itself not a security. Can you give us more context? What does it mean? What does it imply for Ripple as a whole?
You know, the macro dynamic in the United States obviously has been frustrating for companies in the U.S., companies wanting to operate in the U.S., and Ripple was kind of at the front end of that with the United States Securities Exchange Commission filing a lawsuit almost 3 years ago now, asserting that Ripple's sales of XRP had been the sale of unregistered securities. So our lawsuit win, which I think also around the same time as an important win in the U.S. courts for a lawsuit around a company called Grayscale, it really, I think, has shown that the chairman of the SEC, a gentleman named Gary Gensler, has, I think, had a failed policy of how do we regulate through enforcement. And that hasn't been effective. It hasn't worked. The courts have now moved against the SEC, and we're, I hope, entering a new age where we can actually have clear policy that is constructive in the United States. And as you said, Adrian, what the judge in our case said, XRP in and of itself is not a security. So now almost, in an unhealthy way, the only two digital assets in the United States that are there's clarity they're not a security is XRP and Bitcoin. And the SEC has continued to kind of, I think, muddy the waters around lots of other things. So creating that confusion, I think, actually has helped the SEC try to retain power, because one of the things I tweeted out a while ago is the idea that confusion masquerades as power. If it's clear the SEC doesn't have authority because these aren't securities, they're the Securities Exchange Commission. So I'm super pleased about it. I think it is creating some momentum in the legislature of the United States to create that clarity. But as you know, Adrian, really well, and I think, well, certainly a lot of your customers and prospects know, outside the United States, there's been much more clarity, and that has allowed Ripple to grow. 88% of our hiring in Q3 was outside the United States, in places like London and Switzerland and Singapore and Dubai. And that's largely because there has been that clarity. So I'm really pleased about the case. I'm really pleased that we won on everything that matters. But I still think the U.S. is not yet in a, I guess, called constructive place in terms of what the future of crypto looks like in the United States.
That's super interesting. And one thing is that this discussion with the regulators also emphasize a lot the XRP and XRPL component of Ripple. I'll be honest with you, Brad. Until very recently, I always thought Ripple was actually everything about XRPL and XRP. I thought it was a cryptocurrency, and I didn't realize that there was all of this business, which was almost a software and financial service, regulated financial service business. Can you tell us a little bit more about what Ripple is doing beyond the distributed ledger and cryptocurrency?
Yeah, I think it's a really important distinction that there are always, well, I've been in the company now 8.5 years, almost 9 years, and I think there's always been this kind of conflation and confusion between what is Ripple and what is XRP. And I think you understand well, and I think many people are starting to understand better that XRP is an open source digital asset that anyone can participate in that ecosystem. The code is not controlled by Ripple. The validator network is not controlled by Ripple. We're clearly an interested party in that. We own a lot of XRP. And we think XRP is extremely efficient for many use cases. Not all use cases. We definitely are not maximalists in that we think that there's a place for Bitcoin. There's a place for a lot of other tokens and different use cases. But Ripple at its core is an enterprise infrastructure company focused on blockchain. We started with a use case around payments. We have now expanded beyond that. We introduced a product prior to the Metaco acquisition called Liquidity Hub, focused on managing and sourcing liquidity across the digital asset ecosystem. With the Metaco acquisition earlier this year, we're obviously expanding to custody. And we see ourselves expanding to other use cases focused on that infrastructure side at the enterprise level, really going after financial institutions, enterprises. And we're really pleased about where we sit there. We certainly think we have a ways to go. But I think going back to your core question, there were a lot of people who I think just didn't understand that Ripple is not XRP and XRP is not Ripple. And that's partly because, exchanges would list, XRP as Ripple. And people say, oh, I bought some Ripple. I'm like, no.
I used to say this.
Yeah. And so it's been something that we have combated for a long time and will continue to do so. And just, providing education about what Ripple's doing. As you said, Ripple was clearly, if not the leading enterprise infrastructure company around blockchain. We're one of them. And so we're really pleased about that momentum. And we're glad to have Metaco as part of that family.
Speaking about Metaco, so you acquired as a company Metaco and you're the sole owner today. It's obviously a very different kind of business, at least in appearance. We, and I say we because, I used to be the founder and CEO. I'm still the CEO. So Metaco was focused on purely the infrastructure, selling custody mainly to the banking institutions. Obviously Ripple is doing more than this. How do you see the two combining together and creating synergies, creating value?
So look, I think there is customer overlap in that, Ripple has a broad sales force as well as existing customer base of financial institutions. Metaco, as you know better than me, has tended to play at the tier 1 level. Ripple has tended to play below the tier 1 level, but I think there's clearly overlap there that has created some positive synergy. I also think as you look at where the product suite, the opportunity for financial institutions broadly is going, it doesn't stop with custody. It doesn't stop with payments. And so it's really, how do different banks, different financial institutions take advantage of a suite of products that would include custody, that could include payments, that could include other capabilities at the infrastructure kind of enterprise level. Now, you know better than anyone, and certainly the Metaco team, which really just achieved an immense amount of success with a pretty small, lean team and competed very effectively against larger, better funded companies. But the macro environment around custody digital assets is expected to be close to $10 trillion by the year 2030. And inevitably, people are going to need a place to store those assets, and safe, secure, and they're going to need to be able to transfer them as well, having good on and off ramps, even a tokenization engine, some of the work Ripple is doing around central bank digital currencies or CBDCs. So we think there's a lot of pieces that come together, and we already had, and I remember when you and I first spoke, I remember being on a call with one of the largest top 10 banks in the world, and a bank Ripple was already working with, and they were asking us about, could we help them with their custody? This is prior to the Metaco acquisition, and we weren't in a position to do that. And so when I think about that synergy, the ability to say to that existing Ripple customer, hey, here's a best in class, going head to head, time and time again, and winning on the custody level, to be able to bring that product to them, I think is a great opportunity for the two companies together. So, I'm really happy about it.
All right, let's check out the evolution and expansion of crypto worldwide through crypto giant Coinbase. Now, they recently made Ireland one of its strategic locations. Now, why is Ireland quickly becoming a crypto hub? Well, it's in likes to Mika and more. And yes, it is pronounced Mika. So crypto firms flocking to the country follow a concerted effort by Ireland to foster innovation. Ireland's government in 2018 created an innovation hub designed to allow fintech firms to engage with the Central Bank of Ireland in a more informal manner. More recently, various crypto companies in the segment have been expanding into the EU ahead of the implementation of the Markets and Crypto Assets Regulation, MiCA. Under MiCA passed in April, crypto asset service providers, CAPS, have sought to serve EU clients must gain licenses from national authorities. So the regulatory framework is expected to go into effect for such entities at the end of 2024. VASPs in Ireland can offer 5 services to Irish customers, including the exchange between digital assets and fiat currencies, as well as allowing the swapping of digital assets for others. Coinbase chose Ireland as its EU MiCA hub due to the country's supportive political environment for fintech companies and its globally respected regulator, the exchange said in a Thursday blog post. Right, this is posted from Andrea Frosinini on LinkedIn. This is great material so we can see the growing landscape of tokenization. So tokenization of real-world assets unlocking a new era of ownership. Redefining asset valuation in a tokenization era is crucial to adapt to the changing landscape of financial instruments, because everything is changing. So here are the main topics. So platform resilience. It assesses the technology infrastructure underpinning a tokenized asset platform. Of course, if people want to use a platform that's reliable, that's secure. They want to have security and integrity. So smart contract monitoring is also very important. Real-time monitoring of smart contracts is essential to ensure that they execute as intended. And then skipping ahead, we got asset representation. Understanding the rights and ownership being transferred through the tokens. And then we got compliance measures, integration of anti-money laundering, combating the financing of terrorism, and know your customer KYC protocols is essential, of course. So proper compliance ensures that the asset remains within the bounds of legal and regulatory framework. So we have external threats, recognize and mitigate external threats such as legal challenges, interoperability issues, and cyber attacks. Legal due diligence is crucial to understand and mitigate legal risks associated with tokenized assets. Pricing accuracy. Establish a robust pricing mechanism that reflects the true value of the asset. This may involve a combination of traditional valuation techniques and new methods tailored to the unique characteristics of tokenized assets, such as liquidity and real-time trading data. Of course, that's very important. So consumer safeguards, you got to have that. Ensure that tokenized assets are securely stored and provide clear recourse options for asset owners in case of disputes, fraud, or platform failures. Well, everybody, that's all I have for the content. If you did enjoy it, please do subscribe so you can stay up to date. Thanks for watching.